Welcome to today's episode of One More Round, and on today's episode, all the way from Stockholm in Sweden, we have Anna Stenskold for. Now, Anna is a communication strategist.
Yes.
Now, that isn't something that we hear too often, Anna. What does it mean to be a communication strategist?
Well, I thought about my love for, I guess, anything in communications and art and psychology and content writing, and I just merged it together. So I guess, and I do a lot of graphic design, and I've always majored in psychology to understand why things is. So I guess it's a lot of tailoring projections, like what you want to get out there, what is the understanding, like what would you say, what is the view or what is your narrative in something, and how might that be projected? Because always we are what we project into something. So I just love to marry the idea of the content story or content writing with what the image says. So yeah, I just use that.
So with the communication strategy that you do, how you've taken the various elements,
Yeah.
in terms of communication, is there more of a slant on visual or on verbal in terms of how people really, I guess, understand the message that's being conveyed?
Well, that's the interesting thing, I guess, because there is one thing that we say with the visual and there is one thing that we say with the text. So we try to marry them so that they fit together and kind of enhance each other. So there's a lot of the visual language. Say you would do an advert, for example, on Facebook. So you would have, depending on what you wanted to depict, you would have the image and you would use, like, there's a lot of psychology in colors, in settings, and in associations. We work a lot about associations. So that would be that. And then in the text, you would also make sure that they enhance each other. So you really work on several dimensions. And I guess I'm all about the projection. I like to enhance what I see and what I like, and just really catch both the content and the visual and really the whole experience.
Yeah, because I've noticed even on the few bits that you've done for myself in terms of placement of an ad, whether it's to the right where people naturally gravitate, you know, the way that they see things. Those little subtle things, I think, are really probably, for most people, probably not caught up, but you're able to really pinpoint, you know, some of those details that really maximize the opportunity. Now, John Maxwell says that many communicate but few connect. So the importance of communication is to be able to connect with the audience. How do you feel we're best? Because we're being bombarded with lots of communication. What do you feel as a strategist within that really helps us connect to either our target market or even to ourselves?
Well, what I think when it's to connect to others, I think authenticity, just bring out you. I think that's big. And of course, like, interestly engaging. And I guess that is where, because I'm very much into art and always been working with that a lot, so I think that the presentation ways that you would use when if you would draw a painting or anything, or you would really catch these moments that would tell you a story. And I do think that we are our stories, and just to get this real person out there, and also depending on what you want to tell. And I think the power of narrative and the different ways that you could just skew and zoom that is.
Yeah, I love that bit of we are our stories. And communication is your ability to tell a story well.
Yes.
Because we're all saying something, but how we say it is really the importance of having somebody like you come alongside, be able to articulate the essence of what's being said and putting it out there so it really captures the imagination. I love that psychology angle that you'd bring into a story, and that's really, really important. Is that something that's kind of naturally evolved for you, the whole strategy around communication?
I think so, because I majored in psychology and did spend a lot of years into that. And then also the love of art, which I've had all my life. So you just take these, and the content writing, if you just take these together, you get sort of an enhancer profile, I guess. So, and again, I think if you just do what you love and you use your spark to do it, or what you feel passionate about, and then at the same time try to see what others really feel passionate about.
We talked about being authentic. There's also that sense that too many people make the mistake and focus their message on them.
Oh yeah,
What's
good.
your thought on, focusing the energy on the consumer?
That's really good, actually. That's something I think about a lot of the time, because you think things are all about you, but it's also like, how will that story, so that's something sometimes you help people with, because of just looking onto you, or what you want to tell about you, but it's also how does it land with the other person, how would they perceive it. So that's a really good, and I sometimes, because you also need to really talk with the person and analyze, I always begin by asking, trying to understand. So it's also a lot of logics in it, trying to understand what is that person really, what's the core of who they are, and what do they want to get out. So and that is, sometimes you need to have the respect for that and understanding for that, and you need to really also be mindful of how you put, I guess, that it also speaks to someone else, so that you also speak to the people that are supposed to take in your message. So a balance, I think that's huge on everything. Having the balance, keeping it real, and I think that's how we do connect, especially when things very often I think they get lost in shallow, sort of, or they're not anchored into something. So that's what I think.
Beautiful. Bible, interestingly, one of my favorite verses in the Bible is your gifting will make room for you, which is really interesting, because it's not even talking necessarily about something that you can grow, but it's something that's already within. And so the whole thought process of your gifting making room for you will really come into its own when you start to honor the very things that are within you, rather than trying to be something that you're not, because we all have this gift within us. And all we need to do is really focus and honor it and exercise it. And in doing so, we'll find that the opportunities in life will really start to open up. So honor your gift and watch that gifting make room for you in your life. Okay, and the show's one more round.
Yes.
We're in series 3. And I always like to ask people, what does one more round conjure up for you?
Well, I'm going to use one of my artsy analogies here.
Okay.
And I think that we create ourselves through contrasts. So we actually do need, both the good and the bad to really appreciate and understand and evolve ourselves. So I think even when we have a bit of a tough moment, or, all the times where you kind of fall down and then you have to get up and really take another step, I think that's growth, that's contrast. That's when you see the light and the shadow in any picture that builds your character. So one more round for me is just understanding that failures is actually not a failure, or hard time isn't, and that is what builds your character, and what kind of really puts your, I guess, lines and perspectives, and even your story, your life. You are all of your stories and your contrasts, and all this essence is you. So one more round is just understanding that. And I think also I'm very big on the whole set mindset or growth mindset. And I think that trying to be all very set and trying to be perfect, that is when you when you lose yourself a little bit, because you need to understand that you're on this journey, that you're actually walking through life or the story, and that you really just shape your experience, your understanding, what you value, everything. So just by remembering that, you don't need to, you're not at your end walk. You are actually on the way. So one more round really just means that there's always progressing in that.
Yeah.
So
do you feel like the people that are achieving some of the greatest things at the moment are the ones that have gone through the hardest hardships?
well, I think that they are, the interesting thing is some people achieve a lot and some don't. So I'm very big on these defining moments. What makes you you? What makes you great? What gives you grit? Or what makes you stand up again? What makes you keep having this positive vibe? Or even if not positive vibe, what makes you strive? So I think that also understanding your character and even if you have difficulties working with that, and yeah.
What about for you personally, Anna? Is there like a defining moment, or I mean, we always have challenges and difficulties, but can you share like one maybe personal moment that was kind of pivotal, where it was a challenge, and how you managed to work through that, and then for it to actually put you in a stronger position?
I would guess on a very personal level that I lost my father, for example, and I guess the whole idea of taking your happy state for granted and your family for granted, I think I was in a position where I was probably very naive to the reality, just living in this very, I guess, sheltered world. And then unfortunately my father had a lung disease and he slipped into coma for a month, where I was with him. And at that time when he got sick, I was very much into my line, what I wanted to do, who I was. I was studying psychology, working on my master, and I guess the whole being with him for this month and just finding this shift in my personality and the enormous sorrow that it is, because it's losing your parents or your sibling or any, like, your core family is probably the hardest thing
Absolutely,
you could experience. And what you learn is what is really important in life, what touches your heart, and you also learn by the things you wish that other person could have experienced. Like, for example, don't put your dreams on hold. Don't put your what I want to do or what I want to experience. Just do it. Just live. So I guess I took a step. I moved back to Stockholm, and I from Stenskold, where I was studying. I just stepped into me, and I guess followed, even if things might not have seemed the most aligned or the most, I guess, career defining. Just going with what's in you, and being what you want to be, being who you are. Not, I guess a lot of the time you're so focused on your presentation, who you should be, and what is okay with other people. So if you have some differences in you, the way you're constituted, just let them be. And I guess surround yourself with people who help you be you, who appreciate you for you, and what is valuable. Like, I think when we lose people, or when we're at the age, like the high age or end stage of life, I think we really just value the time, who we spend it with, or what we did. So we don't really value having all these shallow positions, like having a lot of money, or working a lot to have this sum in the bank, or be this person who we were never really not. But what we will say we're sorry for is, like, did I do what I love? Did I feel this, like the the gifts or that I was given, did I use them? Did they resonate within me? Did I really, was I me? Was I honest to me? Was I like all of these things? So in a defining moment, I would say that that was, even though it was my, I guess my hardest sorrow or toughest experience in life, and something that I'm so sorry for it, but I'm also happy for the person I am.
Yeah.
And I think so that being able to connect you and shaping you, and again the contrasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that's an emotional challenge is probably the hardest thing that we go through, because we have feelings as humans, and definitely the role that a father plays that would and still probably is, a challenge and painful. And so I think, you to be so introspective and brave and be able to allow that experience to help, shape some of that, I think it is really courageous and brave, but also, very human. And I love the fact that you've taken something that, is very personal, but then you put your heart and soul into all that you do. And people say to me, what's the most important thing in business? And I say it's reputation. And reputation always precedes somebody. And you have a good reputation with people. You are liked, and people love who you are, and it must be planted out of that realization of pain and suffering, and really knowing what is really important.
Well, I guess, yes, that is, thank you. But that is what I do feel, that you get to this realization where who you are, and what is important to you, and who other people are as well. You get to really value other people's journeys, because you see them and you get to understand or try to, I think introspectivity is like a gift.
Yes.
Both for you and the way you experience life,
Yeah.
and also for others. So you love seeing people's growth or journey, or you love to see them turning maybe a hard point into something beautiful. That's, I guess, why we love these stories so much as well, because we love seeing people do well, do good, be good.
Really great just to hear some of your own personal story there around One More Round. Now, Anna, outside of the psychology and the art and the communication strategies, like, who are you? Like, outside of that, I know that you have a degree of privacy in how you live, but what do you do in order to really find yourself and to switch off?
Find my happy.
Yeah, find your happiness.
Well, I guess to say that, I'll start with the whole, I'm an ambivert. So sometimes I need this social flair. I love to spend time with my friends, or I'm an auntie, so I love to spend time with my kids, as I say, even though they're semi-mine, they're my siblings. But I love to get all this social, and I love to just be with people I love. Or friends, or just enjoy the whole setting of groups, or going out to do things, to try new things, or that sort. And then I have this other side where I can be very, I guess, introverted when I want to be creative. If I want to do one of my projects, maybe it will be math, maybe it will be understanding something or writing something, or I guess this introspective side, or wanting to learn something, or wanting to play some music maybe, or just connecting with me, my core. So I guess I do that in two different ways: the social one, or the very kind of, I guess, going into philosophy, or what it would be, or whatever project takes you. Your interest for the moment. So I would say I shift what I like. So I do also like to really learn new things, try new things, or do that.
You love art, you love music, you love psychology. So Who's your favourite artist?
Oh, that's
Yeah, I
such
knew
a
it was gonna
hard
be tough.
question.
Can only have one.
I can only have one.
Only have one, yeah.
Oh wow, that is. It's always a shifting, very depending on mood. I would say I'll take one that defined me, that took my interest as a child, and that is Claude Monet. And what I loved about that is the working with light. He's an impressionist, is what you say.
Yeah.
He made these water lilies, very, most people know. But what I loved about that was the whole essence in which colors or light affects color, and how that will even shift your narrative or mood or setting depending on when he would paint something, what the time of the day. So that was something that got really affected me and has always followed me, how you would use I love contrast, I guess,
yeah.
or even just how things will affect
Yeah.
you. So Claude Monet would have to be my favorite
Okay.
artist. Yeah.
And what about music? Because you obviously have more of a classical slant. When it comes to music, I think I know the answer to this one.
Yes.
But who would that be?
Oh, well, there's I'm very contrasted in that sense as well. So I do love modern music, but at the same time, for heart, I am a classical musician, so I would have to say Bach.
Yeah.
I love Bach. Love to play Bach. Would love to learn it on new instruments. So one of my new thing is I'd love to play classical guitar,
Yeah.
Bach. So yes, that would be the answer to that.
Music's very good for losing yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, tapping into, de-stressing. And I guess what I love about, if we're going back to Bach, is the whole, it's very logical, it's very you can sort of, your brain waves can all tap into this very soothing, even if you might heard most pieces, but even if you wouldn't have heard it, you would just know what would come next. And it's all very mathematically, so you combine this logic with this sensation, or yes, so you just release and let your mind just, so that's my best relaxation tip.
And then finally, psychologists. Who would that be?
Oh well, actually, I'm gonna break the rules a little bit on this one. Psychologists, I would say, who made me really interested in psychology, and I do think, because even if philosophy, I think when you, I guess this whole idea of understanding, of asking the question why,
Yeah.
and who set that in
Yeah.
motion for me,
Yeah.
I would say that is my favorite philosopher, which you know who it is.
I do know.
Yeah.
But people don't. In fact,
no.
I hadn't heard of them until you'd actually spoken of them.
So
So who is it?
It's Kierkegaard. It's a Danish philosopher, Søren Kierkegaard. And why I love it is that he poses these questions which then really, I guess, transcend into everything. So he is a philosopher, and you can find, I guess you can find these very good questions. And I guess why I love that and why I love him is the understanding of why, and just understanding your own journey, or who you are becoming, or what you must know. You must know your basic values, your core self, your understanding of you, and then you can face the world. So know yourself.
Yeah.
And that will also help you, I guess, know, understand, or if you don't agree with somebody, you might still understand why.
Yeah.
So he is the person who really amplified the why.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, you consume a lot of content. What would be the best piece of advice that you've been given?
Oh, the best personal advice.
Best person that you've either read or been told, or maybe you've even seen.
Oh. Well, That's also, it's so many to choose from. Best piece of advice. Well, actually, once you said something to me that really stood out and that I loved. It's that done is better than perfect. So that's really something I use since you said it to remind myself, because I can get really lost into something and just let it continue growing, or shift idea of it. So I use that. Done's better than perfect.
Yeah.
It's from
I'm
you.
not the author of that one.
Well,
But it's
you're the one that told me.
Yeah, it's something that I believe is really important. That, you know, we hesitate because we want everything to be perfect, but it's really important to sometimes just get things done. Otherwise, you know, not being done is obviously worse than having something done that isn't perfect. But I think we spend too much time here and not enough action. You know, and the only way to quieten that is through action. So it's very
I love that.
Important.
I've always taken that to heart. So.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you, Anna. Now, how do people connect with you? How do they communicate? What's the best way for people to find out more?
To find out more about me, I think you can visit my website, thecommunicationstrategist.com.
Yep.
It is a bit of a long name, or
on the normal social media
channels.
channels.
On the normal social media channels, I would say probably Facebook.
Yep. Great.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great to have you on today's One More Round.
Thank you.
Thank you for being part of Series 3.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Cheers.